right. Hey.
All right.
We made it. Mike is doubled up tonight.
Yeah, dude. Hardcore.
We had some technical difficulties, so we had to double him up tonight. But we made it.
Wasn't my fault. The lawyer screwed me.
Yes. 100% the lawyers. They always screw you. They screw you at the drive-thru.
Good. Right.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, we're just getting
Let's talk.
Jody. Jody is camping. So she is supposed
Sort
to
of.
come in. Well, yeah. Kind of
She's cabining.
cabin camping. Exactly. It's not really.
Yeah.
Glamping? Is that what they call it? Glamping?
I call it cabining.
Hmm.
Conjugating cabin.
Yeah. But she said she was going to join, right? That's what she texted you back there?
Yeah. She was out boating and was going to come back to land and sign in.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we'll kick it here for a minute. I'm going to go grab my water real quick because I forgot it over here.
Gotta hydrate.
Gotta hydrate. Yes. So we made it. Another week.
Still not canceled.
Yeah, right? Well, only we can cancel us.
Technically true.
So I've had a fun week. My wife was actually out of town all week, so I was stuck with all the dogs at home.
Dude, you're telling me you had wife-free week? I hear about it now.
What's that?
You had wife-free week, and I hear about it now.
Yeah, I thought you knew that. I talked about it multiple times, but I guess you didn't know.
I'll just, you know what? What's done is done.
I know, I hear you. Yeah, well, there's still like a bunch of responsibilities. And then my wife gets a text that our neighbors up the hill lost their chickens. The bear ate their chickens. So she was all worried about that. But we had no bears come visit us, so that was good. That's never fun.
Have you had many black bear come up?
Yeah, we've had a few. We had a 1 year, one of our bears got a hold of something from the trash, and they stayed around for a couple of days, and it was a mom and a couple of cubs.
Okay.
And, it's like, oh, that's cute. You got bears playing in your yard, but it's not cute.
Yeah, that's trouble brewing.
They're damn bears, so you don't really enjoy that too much. But yeah, so that's been interesting.
Just a bit less game. Is that better?
Probably. Yeah, I can still hear it, but it's fine. It's weird. So there's we got to add the software that has a gate on it. We need to put a gate on that mic, and then that'll cover it. Last week it was fine because we were using a different laptop, and that laptop had a gate on it. This one doesn't. It's pretty much free. Can you make sure in the back it's not wide? It's not being a condenser mic. It's actually being a.
No, I think it's directional.
Yep. Okay.
Third option.
Yeah, I think so. The one that looks like a heart. Yeah.
You see a heart here. I see buttocks.
Well, buttocks. That works.
Depends on what you love for. Yeah. Depends on what you live to love.
Right. So how about your week?
I had a week. We had a great week at the store. Not to say we couldn't use more customers. Come on down to Reeking Home. 1970 East Fire Rate. Terrible week 3D printing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just everything failed. Usually for the same reason. I'm just not able to find that reason yet. But the one I told y'all was first, went off the street. I just had time to power down and cool, so I didn't bring it with me. But so that one printer solved. I got a game plan to go with the second printer that should be going tonight. So it'll be better.
All right. So did you get your the one printer? Did the display ever come back? I was going to ask you that last night and I forgot. You had one printer where the display was off because you had a firmware that failed or something.
Well, okay. I had firmware that failed, and it wouldn't take a reflashing firmware. I actually had that on 2. So what I ended up doing was I bought an upgraded board and replaced the board. It's a silent drive. It is so much quieter. And I wasn't really paying attention when I installed it, and it turns out the color codes on the wires and the ports you put them in.
Okay.
That's important. Like the red one goes in a certain one, the black one goes in a certain one.
Yes. That usually helps. Okay.
The board actually worked, except the screen wouldn't, and couldn't figure out why.
Gotcha.
And it turns out it blew the fuse, and it was just a simple automotive mini 15 amp.
Oh.
Yeah. So I had one of those, and that works good now.
Okay, cool. Well, excellent. All right.
Took a while to troubleshoot and figure that out, though.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, no, those things always do. Technical stuff. I mean, I enjoy it, but man, it's a pain sometimes.
I know enough about soldering to know I don't want to solder.
Oh, no. No, yeah, soldering is something that takes some getting used to, doesn't it?
Yeah, so if I gotta fix a board, I'm probably just buying a new board.
So yeah, so let's. I wanted to get into that, and so we'll talk about that. You saw our topic for the night. It was about what we did for fun and what we did for hobbies, both before and after the 15 days to slow the spread. So before that, Michael, what were some of the things you did for fun, for hobbies and such? I mean, besides be a business owner, which takes up most of your time anyway.
That's the thing. Directly before the shutdown, we were just 1 year into the business. So any hobbies, any fun, not at least a year.
Right.
But I was teaching myself guitar, having lots of fun doing that. I also enjoy playing disc golf.
Okay. Yeah.
And you figure during the shutdown, the disc golf would be great because we're outdoors, you don't actually have to be close to anyone. But no, we couldn't find anyone to go with.
Oh,
probably wouldn't have been allowed anyway.
Yeah, I know they closed some of that stuff off, just to shut it completely down. Said no, even though it's an outside activity, you can't do it, which is just crazy to me. But so what kind of memories do you have of the shutdown? Like, where were you when you realized? Do you have anything that stands out? Because I've got a story that really stands out about when they shut the world down.
At first, I just remember being appalled that never in my life would I think it's my mayor that's stomping my rights.
Right.
Yeah, of all elected people, never would have thought it would have been the mayor.
Right.
So getting past that, and said, just 2 weeks, slow the threads, flatten the curve, 2 weeks. All right, this will hurt, but we can give you 2 weeks. And as soon as they did that first extension after the first 2 weeks, I knew right then this is going to go on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Regardless of what any charter says, regardless of what any constitution says, they've already been given the pass. They're going to do whatever they want and force us to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then my anger just grew. We go to the courts, which should have been our one answer. Or, the only place you have to go to, and it's black and white, what you can and can't do. And the courts just decided against our freedom.
Right.
And these are local courts here, you know. Well, this is a really unique time. The Constitution says you can't. Why is this? And it's my frustration and anger more. I'm like, is this still America? When I was emailing or telling people, I would just say, how to say it. I think the people are starting to realize that as Americans, we're not free and never really were.
Right.
And that was troubling.
Mm-hmm.
But not troubling to enough people.
No, right. There were a ton of people that just went
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, whatever we need to do. And, no, I mean, it was, yeah.
And even when what they were saying was just like the most daft thing you ever heard, they would still go along with it. Just got a morning email telling you this is the nonsense we're pushing on people today. All right, well, the guy on TV said it, so we're going with that.
No, and some of the things were just that blew me away. Like some of the rules that they came up with, and not just here, but you know, other places. Some of the rules were just downright nuts. Like
California,
the one that
skate parks.
Oh, the one that sticks out to me, and it didn't last very long because they realized how stupid it was. But they said Home Depot can stay open.
Yeah,
but you can't sell seeds. No one can buy seeds because people would congregate in that area and spread the thing. So you cannot sell seeds for people to plant their own garden. And it was up for a week or so, and then the governor finally realized how ridiculous that was and put it. So I was at a big construction conference in Vegas, and it was for work, and it was no, I can't think of the name of the construction thing, but it's a huge convention. It's Con Expo. And hang on, I'm going to mute your mic for a second. Just raise your hand if you want to say anything, because it's really feeding back for some reason. So I'll unmute you in a second. But so I was at this thing called Con Expo.
Yours is picking me up. Or mute mine.
Okay. But so you're hearing yourself through mine too?
Yours is picking me up. I'm still not muted.
Yeah, I know. I haven't muted you yet. Okay, now you're muted.
Yeah, yours is picking me up.
Well, yeah, and yours is picking me up too. So I can hear myself through yours.
Well, I'm saying we don't need the two.
What's that?
We don't really need the two.
Yeah, well, it's not gonna pick you up very well.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep it.
Right.
Sorry.
Bring it on.
We'll get there. But so I was at Con Expo. I'll just unmute you. People can just deal with it. So I was at Con Expo in Vegas, and we had we'd reserved hotel rooms. We were staying at the MGM Grand, and this kept building and building, because this this conference gets set up over a course of months. I mean, it's huge. It takes up the entire multi-million square feet of the convention center, and it takes up like a giant lot that's pretty close to the convention center with all these. I mean, they got cranes. Caterpillar had a giant arena. They brought in all of this dirt.
Nice.
And built an entire arena where they had all their excavators and dump trucks and everything. They had some that were remote control that they did these presentations with, and it was an arena. They had seats all the way around it. And I mean, it's just, and all these companies have buildings, and so it takes months and months to set this up. And then all of a sudden there's this thing, and this is in March. This is in March of 2020. So I'm there in Vegas. The first day we go, and there's a pretty good crowd. It's a decent crowd, and it's pretty packed. And then, there's not a lot of hand washing stations. They said, oh, there'll be hand washing stations everywhere, except there weren't. It's the same thing in the casinos. They said, oh, we'll put hand washing stations everywhere. And then it's like one by the entrance and one by the, the other side of the casino. And so over the week, I watched as the crowd just got less and less. It just shrunk. And sorry, I'm going to mute you again. The crowd shrunk all the way through the week. And then, so I was there like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I left Saturday morning. And so by Thursday, there was nobody at the show. There was nobody at the convention, or nobody. There was it was a lot less people. And then we're walking through Vegas too. There was you just saw the crowd get less and less and less. And, Vegas is usually hopping, especially as it get closer to the weekend, it hops more. And it wasn't. It's just getting less and less people. And then Friday night, I'm leaving the next morning on Saturday. And I'm in the MGM Grand, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go play a couple hands of blackjack. And so I sit down at a table, and I sitting there, and there's a shift change of dealers and the waitresses and the floor staff. And so that shift change comes, and get this new dealer, and he's surly. That's the way I've described it. He was just angry. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Well, they showed up to work, and we're basically told, this is your last shift. 75% of you were laying off after tonight. You're completely laid off. And they didn't know what to say. They're just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then like a week later, I left on Saturday morning, came back, and then a week later, they Vegas shut down completely. Like MGM was the first. I remember this because I was watching it. And MGM properties shut down first. Like Caesars, go ahead and unmute you there. Caesars properties and some of the other ones said, no, we're going to stay open. But MGM shut down first. And then it was a cascading effect. Then the government stepped in and said, nope, you're going to shut down. And they all did. Yeah. So that was my crazy beginning of the C story.
Well, the beginning, this whole town, we were shut down. You could eat a steak right in the intersection. There wouldn't be a car coming.
Exactly.
That was the 2 weeks. And then after the extension, there's a bit more people about. And I think we were shut down for 6 weeks, I think. And we opened by the day we were allowed to, but it didn't matter anymore. We had to open. I mean,
no, right, exactly.
Zero income coming in. We had to open, and that was what was going to happen.
Right. And then business-wise, how was it when you reopened? Did it take a while for business to come back?
We were still kind of open where I had the entryway there, and I put like a curtain, and you can find us online and get in touch with us to say, hey, I want to buy this, and I would just set that item there.
Right.
And then they would come in and collect their item after they paid for it. And so there was no contact that way. We were getting a few sales, and then right after we reopened to let people in, I wasn't enforcing masks or anything like that. I wasn't even questioning masks. I hated them. Dude, do I gotta wear one? No, this is America in here.
Well, hello, Jody.
Hi.
Hey, Jody.
Just came
How
right
are you
off
doing?
the boat.
All right, show us.
On a boat.
So, where's the lake at? Can you see the lake?
It's let's see here.
More of a river, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a lake that's connected to a couple of lakes. So there's the gate that gets you to the lake, and there's
I
a
got you.
train that goes through.
Cool.
So it's all gated up, and it's right over there.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Well, welcome, Jody. We've been just talking about stuff.
That's right. Important.
But we catch you up. There's two of me because it's necessary.
I was wondering why there were two of you.
It's audio issues. We couldn't find your headphones. We'll talk to you about that later.
Oh, okay.
You probably know where they're at.
Well, I thought that there was a pair of headphones hanging up on the side next to the computer on the mistakes were made desk.
Oh, I don't know.
So right next to the desk, Michael, on the right-hand side on the wall hanging up, it should be the headphones. But whatever.
Yeah, exactly. We got it. It's kind of working.
Right.
For the algorithms, it looks like there's 4 people.
There, so. Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about what we were talking about. So, I was in a band for a long time, and that basically ended that run. I mean, 20 years we played, and then after that, there was nowhere to play for a long time, so we've just basically gotten out of it. And
right.
So, and then for you, Michael, I know that so your 3D printing started after the shutdown.
Oh, after all of it. Yeah.
So yeah, tell us about that. Getting into 3D printing. How did you end up doing that?
Well, just constantly scouring for new merchandise for the store. A buddy of mine put for sale the Ender 3 Max. And I had heard a little about 3D printing, but was really totally obtuse to what it was, how it worked, anything like that. But it was a little pricier than I would just normally spend without discussing with Jody. So I discussed it with her and go for it. Little did I know that it was one big old rabbit hole I was jumping in. Oh my gosh, one big old rabbit hole. And spent the next couple months learning all the ways it could fail and how to get a good print started, how to keep a good print good as it's going, and how to finish a good print. And then
it's not that easy.
After a while of that, I started getting good prints.
Yep. I think it was like the F-bomb started kind of being the thing that started printing.
Yeah, it's real easy ones like that. And I was just then I started printing anything I wanted, anything I thought was cool. Toys from my childhood. I ran out of ideas. What should I print? Give me something. And then we moved to this store and needed to decorate. I started using my 3D printer to 3D print 2D stencils. And that's been a lot of fun.
And that's taken off quite a bit.
Yeah. I was looking at my bin of stencils that I have at the other store.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I have been doing this for a while.
And I think so why don't you show us a couple of those things? Because some of them are pretty cool. I know you got a couple sitting around here, right?
There are on top of the Kelvinator, Michael. That's where quite a few of them are stashed.
Yeah. One moment.
So Jody, tell us some of the things that you did before and after
So,
the thing.
right as 2020 was happening, was a lot of closing of the season. So like Beehoff, or not Beehoff, but the Freezing Tassel Festival was literally just wrapping up, and there was a bunch of shows that were just finishing up right at the time we were about to have the shutdowns. And so my docket was completely full. I had jobs. I was going to have a really fun job where I was going to teach at the ballet academy to the little girls, to teach them about acting, like how to have a face on stage when you're dancing. And of course, all that didn't happen because of COVID. Everything got shut down. So I lost all my jobs for the entire year, basically, all the work that I had set up for myself. And
Right.
our store also was closed. So I'm like, oh crap. And I know just by history that whenever there are tough times, or people are in pain or hurt, or things are really bad, it's kind of the actor's job to pull from that situation and lighten the load, basically. For a clown, you need to be able to kind of be there in those moments to help humanity find its humanity again. And so I know that as an actor, that's the most important thing that we can do during these horrible times. And that's the one thing that we all turned to, was the arts. You either read a book, or you listened to a song or a movie, or you did something, and it was all arts related.
Right.
And so then all the schools were closing down, and then it was summertime, and all the teachers were afraid to go and teach. There were people who were afraid to go into classrooms and all that stuff. And I was like, well, I'm not. So I went ahead and did a theater camp with 10 kids, and each one had their 6-foot space and our pods and our masks and everything. And we taught that summer with the children. And I really do think that we saved a lot of their mental sanity by having that summer together. They're all teenagers too. So it was a really beautiful, horrible situation.
Right.
Throughout the pandemic, we needed to kind of get stuff back on track, because businesses need to make money. So we had to be really creative with thinking about, can I teach on Zoom? What can I teach on Zoom? And so my first class that I taught on Zoom was a dialects class, and I had 30 kids logged on to the computer. And what was really, really great was that for the first time, you had 30 kids in a dialects class, and I'm asking them to all make weird sounds with their mouths. And they're actually doing it because they're muted from each other. So they're doing these things that they normally wouldn't do in front of each other, because,
Right.
teenagers, but they're going to do it in their home, in their own little space. And I thought that was really cool. So I taught online, taught puppet classes online, things like that. And then eventually, when everything started slowly going back open, now it's kind of like the old way, where you can spit on each other and talk and act, and that's the normal thing. So it's found its kind of way back into the normal again. But I did get to say that I truly was a professional actor, because I had to get a grant, because they had small grants for professional actors who were out of work because of COVID, and I qualified. I was like, ha! I'm a professional actor. I have no money.
She qualified. She didn't earn one, or didn't get a grant.
No, I did the little one.
I just thought you qualified to apply.
No. I actually got it. That's how I know I'm a professional actor.
Ah, nice.
Oh, because you got a grant.
All right, so you got some stencils, Michael?
One stencil, but some
Oh,
of the 3D print items that we got. The key to any good 3D print is merchandising. Just like we use Spaceballs, the coaster. You got to be flexible. Semper Gumby.
Gumby.
You gotta get a little closer.
Oh, sorry.
Get a little close to the camera.
Which camera are you on there?
Yeah, that one.
Semper Gumby.
Yay!
And okay, so Spaceballs, the coaster.
Very nice. There you go.
And there's going to be trouble. Here comes Rumble.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. That one actually took a while. This one is actually a lot of fun. It has 3 different pieces. It's a skull pouring out skull juice into a spill as it sits, like level and holds itself up. But this one actually glows in the dark, 2 different colors.
That's cool.
That's pretty neat. And then some other things, like one of my favorite Navy fighter squadrons was the Tomcatters. And I just always loved the picture because it's Felix the cat in some cherry bomb type bomb, big old smile on his face. And I could just see some cartoon cat running up to somebody. Here, this is for you. And then run off screen.
Okay.
And then I also learned what lithofanes are. It looks like just some clear thing, but when you put a light through it, you can see
Taco
the image.
the cat.
This is our cat Taco. So we did discuss the F-bombs, and some people know what they are. Here is a gold one.
That is my favorite thing.
Yes. You just drop these as needed.
I drop F-bombs all the time.
And to the stencils, here's the results of one of the stencils. It is my man on fire warning sign. So just be warned, watch out for that.
So the stencils, you take and you pre-print the stencil.
Yes.
You find the hi Benji.
Hi.
Hello.
You find the stencil you like, and you print it out, and then you take a piece of wood or whatever and record it over to paint, spray paint it.
Yeah. Spray paint works better than brushing it on, but you could do that as well.
Yeah.
And some of the stencils I had to create myself. I can't just a lot of the 3D printing you've mentioned, they're not my computer file. I just find those, download those, put them to the printer, and they print if everything works right. But then some I actually had to create myself and pretty much draft from blank.
Yep. The logo.
Like the
Northland.
NPC stencil.
Yep.
Right.
And my dad's fighter squadron, I just couldn't find a puke and dog one for some reason, so I had to make one.
Okay, so you made some of those stencils. You created them.
Right.
So what do you use to create them?
If I get a photograph of it, it can be pretty easy. There's a tracing program I use that could trace the picture, but I have to manipulate it a bit for lighter, darker areas and what have you to make sure they all show up. And it also has to connect somewhere, or every piece has to connect. Otherwise, when I pull the stencil off the bed, things that aren't connected to the main body of it just stay right there. Right. Like the hole inside the letter P.
Yeah, it's a gentle process.
And some of these, the plastic just gets, hair thin, and it wouldn't take much to just break off.
Yep. But basically now he can create anything. And I love that.
I found a way to basically use up remnants of the filament and whatnot. Guitar picks.
Okay.
It just takes about 9 minutes, start to finish on the print. But if I've got, just that much filament to use,
right.
I can do it.
Just make a quick guitar pick.
Mm-hmm. And I can also make pellets for my air rifle. Those take 2 minutes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did get a cool new air rifle recently.
Mm-hmm. What's funny, it was advertised to have a silencer or silent firing.
Okay.
It's not silent at all. Right? Hey, maybe it's silent at like a rock concert or something, but it'll definitely wake you up if you're in the next room.
So, Jody, you've actually gotten back to some of your
I can't hear you very well.
What's that?
Oh, okay. I can hear you now. Go ahead. What were you saying, Robbie?
You've gotten back to some of your pre. Oh, I'm muted. That's why I
Yeah.
muted myself. Now you can hear me really
I
well. I
can
think
now.
you got back to some of your pre-COVID shutdown stuff that
Yes.
you do
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah. But some of it has changed. So, like, funny enough, there are a couple of acts now that I had this one act, and it was to Elvis Presley's Fever, his version of Fever. And it was very syncopated, very Fosse-esque style of dancing. And it was all about what would happen if you were working in a quarantine lab and you forgot to put your mask on, right? And so for half of the act, I have the mask on top of my face, but I have all the other PPE, gear on, and I'm doing my act, my pantomime act, and I'm like, oh, I sneeze, and I'm like, oh no, I forgot my mask. Well, now the whole audience, from the very beginning of the act, would be like, your mask is not on your face. Your mask is not on your face. So things that we never would have noticed before, we absolutely would notice now, and that kind of ruins the act. So there were a couple of acts that just because humanity has changed or culture has changed, you don't that act doesn't work anymore, and that's kind of fascinating.
Right.
But I would say I don't think burlesque was necessarily harmed because of COVID or anything. It figured its way out. A lot of people went online and started doing, like, say, like, oh, it's OnlyFans sites or whatnot. But I know there were a couple of actors in town who started being really creative with their acts. So they were getting into filming, which is what a lot of us are doing now. Is we're getting into filming and editing our own stuff. And there was one dance that Bunnicula did where it starts where you're looking in a keyhole, and inside the keyhole is her and her dance. So the entire thing is shaped by this little keyhole. She doesn't move but within that space, and it's very exciting.
Oh,
and she never would have really thought about that had it not been for COVID. So there was choices that I made as a director for the show that when I was doing that theater camp, I had to take a rock musical about autism and put it outside in the parking lot of Cyrano's, because we had to be outside 6 feet away from each other, acting blocks, no props, no costumes, all choreography. They had to be separate. So I'm like, how do I do this? How do I put on a show where they can't touch each other, can't use props, can't use costumes? And all I had to work with was energy. That's all I got to work with. So when it was choreography, it was like, I take the energy and I push it to you. And so it was this, I would have never choreographed a show like that, but I had to because of where we were. And that was very fascinating to learn how you can, what comes out of having to be forced into a square or some kind of a shape that you have to make something in. And that just goes to show the resiliency and imagination of creative people. We can figure things out no matter where we're at. We can figure something out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we should at least. We know it to ourselves.
Yeah, so for me, I got into, and I'll mute you for a minute, Mike, since I'm going to talk for a bit, was online racing is what I really got into after. And so we basically, I told my story about Vegas, and I was in Vegas for that construction conference. I got home. My boss said, because I just flown the weekend before, he's like, you can't be here. You have to go home for 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, 2 weeks, whatever. I know. So I grabbed like my whole office. Like I grabbed my 2 monitors off my desk. Just basically they were on an arm. And I just grabbed the whole arm off my desk and threw it in my car. And then like I grabbed half of my office and stuck it in my car. Cause I'm like, this ain't going to last. I knew that this 15 days, 2 week things, this wasn't going to happen. I knew it wasn't going to happen. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go home and work from home now for however long. And it was months, obviously.
Yeah.
But there was, and it stopped all sports. Like all sports were done. Right.
Yeah.
Like there were no sports to have. And so they had this invitational NASCAR thing that they did online with this thing called iRacing. And I was like, okay, so I was watching that and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So I looked into it and it's an online racing simulator basically. And so I'm like, well, that's cool. Maybe, and I'd heard of it before, being, I liked the auto sports before. I'd always watched some auto sports. But I'd heard of it, but I'd never tried it, because I always had other hobbies. I always had, music, playing drums, bass. I coached baseball for a long time. So I always was busy. So I didn't have time for another hobby, but now I did. Now I'm like, okay, I got time now. So I went on Facebook Marketplace. I found the last, somebody was selling a set of a wheel and pedals, right? Because that's what you needed.
That's what you need.
And so, yeah. And so somebody was selling it for like $120. And it was a low grade one, but it was a decent one, right? It was a starter kit. So that's what I needed. It was a starter kit. So I'm like, I called the guy. I'm like, you still have it? He's like, yep, I got it. I had a couple people call, but nobody's got anything. I'm like, I'll be there tomorrow morning with, $120. And I think I drove down there. It was like 9 o'clock. It was on Boniface or right off of Boniface. So I went down there at 9 o'clock in the morning, bought the stuff, signed up for this racing thing. And it's been a part of my life now since then. So it's been a complete change. The shirt I'm wearing is Aerokinetic. So it's actually my online racing team. I'm on an online team of people that I race with every week. And, we race together and stuff. And so I've actually got pulled up here. I can show you a little bit. This was from the other night. Let me share. And I don't know if we can hear this or not. I haven't really done this, but let's share this screen. So, and then we'll turn that on. So this is me. And I basically have an entire setup now. So I started with this little tiny wheel and pedals setup. And of course, I don't do anything. If I do something, I'm going to do a bunch of it. I'm going to do it big time.
Yeah, I'm going to go all the way in.
So I now have this entire crazy setup of this aluminum profile rig and a steering wheel that costs way too damn much money and a set of pedals that cost way too much. But it's, I mean, I've got it set up to where it's pretty, I mean, it's, obviously you can't simulate like G forces and stuff. That's not something you can do, but you can get as close as you can. Especially I've got little things on there that actually vibrate. So it kind of vibrates the whole thing. So it gives you like the feeling of stuff going on. And so like I said, and the fun thing too, though, is through this is I've met people all over the world. I have, hey, look, it's just me.
It's just you.
Whatever. There we go. All right. So I've met and become friends with people all over the world. And so, and I'm, like I said at the start, I'm going on a trip, this weekend. And one of the things is next Friday, we're going to go to a Reds game. I'm meeting up with one of the people that I race with online. So Jody disappeared. So, there she is. So I'm actually meeting up with one of the people that I met online, and we're going to go to a Reds game. My brother's going to come down from Columbus and join us. But it's been incredible just meeting people. I got friends over in England. I got friends in Spain. I've got friends all across the United States now that I never would have met without this new adventure. So where and like you said, where it just, people, when they're handed these things, they make do with what they can, right? And they make new adventures for themselves, especially people that have an adventurous spirit. They're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to
my
advance,
father's always
basically
told me something that was basically like, if you're a healthy human, your body it doesn't want to be in anything but happy and good. That's what the body wants. And so if you're a healthy enough individual, you'll find your way back to that feeling, because that's where your body wants you to be. You'll find
Right.
these things just because you have to. You must.
No, exactly. So yeah, so that's been my adventure, or one of my adventures. It's been a big part of my life post. I think we called it AC and the thing after COVID. So yeah, no, that's been a big part of my existence now for the last couple of years.
I'll say that I don't want things to go back to the way they were. I think that COVID helped shift some things, around. So I'm glad that we had to go through something that horrible to find things, just simple things like we can work in a variety of different ways rather than just in the office. We can work with our children and our families. We can have better mental health care for ourselves. And there's some things that have stirred up the hornet's nest, but there are some things that are good that, I'm hoping for a large renaissance for art in some kind of form, that there are people who want to pay us to produce art and create art.
Yeah, right.
Great.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if the president wants us to create inventions, art is an invention. So create.
Totally is 100%.
There's a fear we would lose the humanities.
Yeah, if we lose the humanities, we're not gonna be okay. That's
right, exactly.
We will have nothing to talk about and no way to talk to each other.
I mean, we don't all have to learn Shakespeare, but we do have to do something creative.
Yeah, you have to find something that just puts yourself in a growing position rather than just in a sitting position. You got to grow to be a human.
No, right, exactly.
Art is exactly that thing. David Bowie put it perfectly clear that if you stay in your comfort zone, you will not grow. You will not ever make anything of yourself. You have to be uncomfortable to grow.
Michael turned it towards the
He did.
The epic space battle.
Yeah, well, just bugging me looking at me twice.
I was liking it. 2 Michaels.
Well, you would.
Could not handle 2 Michaels. No, thank you.
Yeah, right. One is definitely enough.
2 Jodies would be awesome, though. I could definitely use a clone for myself.
Cool. So yeah, I think the only thing is the only thing left is we actually did some recording for our show this week.
Yes, we did.
And we learned about filming and recording for sure.
Yeah, right?
We also, yes, that's what I was going to say next, is we learned a lot of lessons from that very first filming session. So,
and we'll be taking new takes.
No, we don't know much.
Right, we are amateurs, but we're professionally amateurs.
We're professional amateurs, yes.
So, yeah, some of the good things was, it was
professionals in training.
The pictures we got were solid. They were so the focus, the lighting, the sound. We did a really good job of that.
The script was amazing. Things like, I guess we should look behind him at the set dressing, and that looks like crap. And we should have
right. And he's got a big old spot on his shirt, and the table's like dirty.
And maybe I shouldn't put the microphone next to a machine.
Yeah,
or unplug it.
We had I don't think you caught this, Jody, as we had Michael's Shure mic. We had a second microphone that we were getting, a separate audio track on.
Right.
Well, I'm like, okay, well, let's download it off your phone and listen to it. And then, so I turn it on, and all of a sudden I hear underneath the talking. There's this like medium high pitch hum.
What was it?
On the recording? The little fridge.
The compressor to the fridge.
The little fridge on the counter.
Which was right next to my mic.
Right.
That's funny.
So it's like, okay, we learned that too. So
next recording, we're going to drink all the beer first so we can unplug the fridge and we'll be good to go.
exactly. But we did. We got some stuff down on film, and then when I get back from my trip, we're gonna go full steam ahead on this. We're
Yep.
gonna really set up some stuff. We're gonna get some more stuff recorded, and we're gonna blast off. So
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. And in fact, we still got a couple of months before the end of the year, and we didn't
No,
start
we
this project
do.
until January. So
Correct.
if we can get some stuff in the can, we're pretty good for a year.
I absolutely. And we're gonna keep doing these. So, I've seen we've had a few folks pop in and out. We've had a few viewers pop in and out. I've been watching it. So we're just gonna keep doing this. We're gonna keep invading your homes.
Yep. Sorry.
We're gonna keep doing this every week until people start seeing us.
And start sending us requests.
Yeah, and watch. I'm getting some views on my Constitution things too, so that's kind of warming too. I'm getting a few views every day, and that content's going to stay up there. So eventually, I will have all of the amendments, all of the articles of the Constitution, and I'm going to keep going with other things. We're just going to keep learning about the history and stuff. And so it's good for me too, because I've learned some stuff that I had no idea. Like
of course.
The 20th Amendment, which I did last night, was I think it was the 20th, the one that repealed the 18th. So the 18th was prohibition.
I think it's 21st.
Oh, I bet you're right. The 21st. You're right. So the 18th was prohibition, where they said no alcohol. And then the 20th the 21st was, nope, we're going to repeal that. And they did it. The way they repealed it was with a convention, not with the legislatures of the different states. Because there's two ways to do an amendment. You can have a convention.
Oh, right.
And you have the legislators do it.
Okay.
The legislators didn't want to do it because the prohibition lobby still had a lot of power, and they didn't want to lose. They didn't want to have that lobby go against them for re-election. So by the 1930s, we had professional politicians.
Okay.
We had politicians that didn't want to be not re-elected.
Right. Regardless,
they didn't want to lose. Right. Regardless, they didn't want to go against that
social norm or whatever.
Yeah, that they didn't want to go against that lobby. They knew that they still had a lot of power. They would lose their seats. So that tells me by the 1930s, we had people that that were in it for themselves.
Yeah.
In it for themselves and not in it for us.
Almost 100 years of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're coming up. We're getting close. And I'm sure it was before that. I'm sure as we go on, it was before that. But I think that's one of the biggest examples.
Yeah.
Right. Of the and that's the only time that an amendment has been approved by a convention.
Isn't that funny? It's non-alcohol. You're like, you're not taking our alcohol from us.
Yeah, to the people standing up and demanding. It's like, we want our alcohol.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it gave it. So the Commerce Clause, where the Congress can regulate trade between the states, that 21st Amendment gave on alcohol, they can't. They actually gave a lot more power to the localities and the states to regulate their own alcohol. So if it's illegal to bring alcohol into a state, the Congress can't make a law that says anything different. So that's another interesting thing about that one. So yeah. So watch that. Check it out. It's pretty cool.
And despite all that, you ask anyone who looks at it logically, they would still say alcohol's something controlled poorly in this country.
Yeah.
Poorly.
Yeah.
All right, Jen. So I'm gonna go.
All right. Well, you have fun. You go camping, do your cabining.
In the Mormon campground, so it's awesome.
Yeah. Neat.
We have to abide by the rules here.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, and we will catch you next week. And I will be broadcasting from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I'll be in the Natty next week. So, yeah. Sounds cool. All right. Everybody have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.
and happy NFL weekend.
Yes. Have a good night.
I'm signing off now.